Hey, welcome back into today's video. We're going to be talking about a situation to do with a YouTuber that does art. His name is James Bear. Now I'm going to be censoring words for the YouTube algorithm and dancing around some very gross topics. The situation has been under the radar for years. Yes, people have known about this, but it didn't pick up steam until recent. This YouTuber had an inappropriate relationship with his sister when she was the age of 9. This is something that he self-admitted to, and I found some things that I haven't seen a lot of people look into. We're going to talk about it in today's episode of Exploring YouTubers. If you're unfamiliar, James Bear is an art YouTuber with over 339,000 subscribers. He's recently changed his name to just James, and his art videos are very popular.
Presents! Oh my gosh, a BS4! Claire, you shouldn't have.
Well, I know that you've been wanting one for a long time, and so I bought you one.
So apparently the majority of his videos include him and his girlfriend, Claire or Clarissa. Social Blade shows that he is losing subscribers due to this situation currently. The sister in this situation is unnamed. Years ago, there was this document released. I'm told it was around 2018. It was released by somebody named Aaron. Now, I'm going to be completely honest with you. This document is not well put together, and some of the stuff is disturbing within itself, and just it's got nothing to do with the main topic situation. The grammar is really bad, and it's hard to follow. But still, I went through the document. The main things about it that we're going to be talking about are the situation to do with the sister. But I did find a couple pieces within this that kind of correlate to and back up this information that I'm going to be talking about. Now, keep in mind, this is something that James himself absolutely did admit to. And when I was first presented with this story, I was told that at the time of these events that both individuals were minors. The sister was 9 and James was around 13 years old. But then when I looked into it, I found out that this situation it wasn't just a one-time thing. It was something that went on for several years. Now, there's a main Twitter thread that we're going to be talking about by Lalo Does Art, or Lalo. I actually don't know how to pronounce that. So if I've pronounced it wrong, I apologize for that. It has 6,814 likes, 294 quote tweets, 1,446 retweets. Friendly reminder that this guy hurt his 9-year-old sister, admitted he did publicly due to depression at the time, then removed everything relating to it once it died down. I even found a post talking about this situation on September 4th, 2020, documenting who he was, what he did, and a couple other details. The emphasis about this DeviantArt post was that he was getting off scot-free and there wasn't a lot of attention to this situation, and they wanted him to address it. Interestingly enough, at 8:59 p.m. September 12th, 2020, James did respond to these things that were being alleged, saying, "With what's being brought up about me, I have to admit about the sister thing. It did happen, but only once, when we were just kids. And it was consensual. Anything else about me being a P word or grooming on minors is not true whatsoever. Those messages are over 4 years old to a 13-year-old while I was only 16 years old. Therefore, I was a minor myself. I made a mistake when I was a kid and I didn't know it was bad. But those mistakes I made back all those years ago didn't define who I am today. I'm a completely different person. I will be taking a break since the and false accusations have taken a huge toll on Claire and I's mental health. So yeah, I just wanted to clear the air on that front. Claire being his now girlfriend. There are a couple things I want to point out about this situation here, being that, as you will see as we move forward, that this wasn't just a one-time thing, and also this was not consensual. I want to go ahead and point out that he did self-admit to an inappropriate relationship with his 9-year-old sister when he was just 13 years old. There's a lot of questions that come to my mind, like, where were the parents in this situation? Because you would think that they have a lot of responsibility in this, especially when you find out that this didn't just happen once. This was something that went on for at least about 3 years. There's a piece taken from the 182-page Google Doc here of James admitting and giving details about the situation to one of his at-time friends named Aaron, and the creator of that 182-page Google Doc. It all began February 2013, when I began to get a little friend called depression. I didn't know at the time, and I did something terrible. I had sex with my sister, which at the time I was 13 and she was 9. So I'm going to do a little bit of breakdown as I go through reading this, because I feel like it's appropriate to give you my thoughts as I'm going through this. What we're seeing here is somebody blaming depression for a depraved act. As you'll see in this video, there are multiple red flags that kind of show me that the home life was just difficult and strained. What this is called is child-on-child SA. This is a form of SA in which the prepubescent child is hurt by one or more children or adolescents in which no adult is directly involved. While this includes when one of the children uses physical force, tricks, trickery, or emotional manipulation to elicit cooperation. It also can include non-coercive situations where the initiator proposes or starts an act that the child does not understand the nature of and simply goes along with, not comprehending its implications or what the consequences might be. And something that really worries me about this situation is that oftentimes when these things happen, it is because the child or children have been hurt by an adult beforehand. In some instances, the perpetrating child was exposed to PORN or repeatedly witnessed activity of adults at a very young age. And this can also be considered a form of child SA. And one thing I have noticed when I did research for this video is that a lot of the art that James did was, there was some NSFW, so it could play a part in this. But I think all these things should be considered in this situation. It's important to note in this situation that neither a 9-year-old or a 13-year-old are able to consent to this type of activity. He says that he's suffering emotionally and he did it because of depression, and then says that someone told me depression can't make you do things. One thing that I've noticed when I did read the messages from James in this Google Doc is that his home life seems to be very volatile and it results in a lot of emotional turmoil, so I don't think that this kid is mentally well at all. Now keep in mind in his public post, he says it was only once. Here he says we've been doing it till between 2015 and 2016. And I know it's still affected me. So we have a timeline of 2013 to about 2016. That's about 3 years. So according to the doc, this was around July 2016 that this conversation took place. That is about 6 years ago, and currently James is 22. So yes, born July 6, 1999, so yes, age 22. So 6 years ago, he would have been about around 16 or 17 years old. At the time of him writing this, they had just stopped apparently, but we don't know for sure. He drops this very serious, shocking information on his friend here at about 16, 17 years old, and immediately goes into painting himself as the victim in the situation. In 2014, I got beat up outside in the cold winter night and I got sick. That sickness could have killed me. In 2015, I got sick again. But while I was sick, I cried myself to sleep and I began to lose friends. My dad emotionally abused me as well. And so January 23, 2016, I began to feel worse and nearly took my own life. But I didn't, and I went to sleep. And then he goes on to say that he phoned someone for help and was taken to the hospital. Something that stands out to me was that apparently James was telling a lot of people about this situation between him and his sister. Alleged ex-friends and ex-mutuals accounts of the situation. I used to be friends with James for years. I'm in his old videos, and I can confirm that the alleged things are true. He has self-admitted on many occasions. And if you dig deep enough, you can find a massive PDF of real messages he sent out on his old Twitter. It appears he has since taken back his claims, or at the very least avoided the situation. But seeing as his audience is growing, it's important to spread the word about this. Look into his old mutuals. They will confirm the claims. Then again, his current audience doesn't seem to be the type to watch him for his personality. Another account saying, I can understand this, but if I can weigh in just a bit, James told me about him doing this to his sister after being mutuals with him for literally like a week and a half, about 5 years ago. Several other people I know could say the same. I think a strong possibility for the reason why James was so upfront about this situation to people that he believed to be his friends is because he actually was struggling with this and how to process it. Now, going back to his now deleted admission where he says that this was a one-time thing that happened only once, I do understand why people took to criticizing this and probably why he deleted it. So what I'm seeing here is an absolutely disgusting situation where the home life was not good. The parents were not around to apparently watch over these children. And Therefore, these things happened. Now, when in the document, the 182-page document, there were some things that stood out to me. Now, the majority, like I said, the majority of that document is, it's not well put together, bad grammar. And whoever wrote it, they got some issues of their own. But I wanted to talk about this. Now, on page 17, it's going to be seen where James is talking about how he wishes that he had somebody. He wishes that he had a girlfriend. After telling his friend Aaron what happened, he asks, "What do you think of me?" To which they say that he's changed and it's really depressing. And then he sighs and says that he just wishes he had a girlfriend. They say, "Hugs, don't worry, you will have one." Then he says, "Yeah, but I want someone that is my age." So like I said, at this current date of conversation, James was 16 going into 17. This to me shows awareness that he understands that his actions are wrong. Saying that he wishes he had a girlfriend that was his age doesn't make me feel comfortable or guarantee me that he's not still doing this with his sister. It also shows me he's aware of how wrong this is. In fact, if we scroll to page 33, "You don't know how much I've sacrificed and gave up on things, on what I did." Even Aaron questions what James says, quoting and then saying, "Sacrifice? What is this? This is berserk. And no, James, having inappropriate relations with your younger sister doesn't count as a sacrifice. You twisted." There's something else that stuck out to me on page 117 where it talks about how James was enamored by a girl that was like 5 years older than him. I believe he was around 16, almost 17, and she was the age of 21, which she did reject him in the overall, but it just shows the mindset and the mental health of this person. James is seen saying, "Love is love. I'm 16. She just turned 21. So that in itself is not good. Something else, this is kind of off topic, but still on this document, this person that made this document here, like I've said, it's not a well put together document, and the person that made it seems obsessed with James's current girlfriend, Clarissa. That's his whole thing its own. But there's this one part I got to point out. Apparently, this Aaron guy was getting hate because he was 20 years old when he was dating Clarissa, who was 17 years old at the time. It's also important for me to say that James's current girlfriend is named Claire or Clarissa, and this girl also was named Claire or Clarissa. That's confusing. So apparently Aaron dated Clarissa first, James's current girlfriend, and he was 20 years old while Clarissa was 17 years old. And he's angry because he says, "So you're telling me that it's perfectly okay for James to have a crush on a 21-year-old, but you're calling me a P-word for dating Clarissa. James had a crush on someone that's 5 years apart, while with me and Clarissa, it's only 3 years apart. I don't get it." So it is strange to me to find out that this person who made this document was an adult dating somebody that was underage within itself. The age gap is only 3 years, but still, it's very strange for him to compare this to a 16-year-old and a 21-year-old relationship, which is respectively much worse, even though let's keep in mind that this Claire, in this situation, did reject James. So as you can see, James here asking if she would date him. She says, "Probably, I don't know, because you're younger than me and it would be wrong. I'm not sure." And then she's like, "Well, I better get going. It was awesome chatting with you." So it's obvious to me that there were a lot of terrible things going on at home behind the scenes in this family. I think the parents do bear a bit of most of the responsibility in this situation, but they're not public figures, so a lot of people aren't talking about them, but still it's something that should be stated, I feel. Another thing that we can briefly mention here is there was this girl named Caden who had a situation recently. It was about how it was pretty much cheating on his current girlfriend. She says, "I don't care anymore. He flirted with me and sent me inappropriate pictures even though he's in a relationship. I just wanted to be friends with a supportive, cool animator at the time. Dang." Going on to say, sadly, this all went down on Snapchat and his old Discord account that was later deleted afterward. My friend managed to save a screenshot of my conversation with him. The animation he did is NSFW, and that character is supposed to be me too. So he says, "I made something for you." She said, "Really, what?" And I watched the animation. It was really just he flipped out he flipped it out in front of her. And this was just an animated cartoon, but I guess in the art world, this is a thing. I'm not part of the art community, so I don't really fully understand that, or OC characters or anything like that. But he goes on to say, If only that was my DICK, haha JK, hope you like it. So that doesn't relate to the sister thing, but I feel like it does back up a little bit more of the type of person that James is, because he was so desperate to have a girlfriend of his own age, and then he currently does have one around his own age, and even that does not satisfy him, apparently. So the situation's, it's messed up, makes you sick to your stomach, it's just weird. But I do want to know what you think, because as interesting as this is, there's always something that's more interesting to me. That's right, you guessed it. I want to know what you think. So much go leave your creative and interesting responses in the comment box below. Thumbs up for those likes, and as always, brothers and sisters, I will see you in the next video.